Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, hi, a very good afternoon. Thank you for having taken the time to have joined me in today's workshop. This is Jay, product expert from Manage Engine. So first things first, before we get into the workshop series, there are certain ground rules that I want to set really clear. First of all, let's quickly start with an audio and video check. So if you guys can help me out, letting me know if you can hear my audio loud and clear and if you can see my screen clearly, we are good to go. A quick audio and video check. If you can see my screen and if you can hear my audio loud and clear, just make use of the chat window to let me know the same. A quick little favor for those of you who've joined in early, it's more like a quick sound check that we're doing right here. If you can see my screen and if you can hear my audio, wonderful. Alright, thank you for the confirmation, guys. We are all set and we'll be starting off in a few minutes. Hi all, a very good afternoon. Thank you for having taken the time to have joined me in today's workshop. Jay again, your product expert from Manage Engine. Before we get to today's session, a quick heads up on what's coming up for the next 5 days of this workshop series for AD Manager Plus, or the Active Directory workshop like we call. So what we're trying to do right here is bring together all those critical aspects of the product in these 5 workshops that are scheduled for the next 2 weeks, this one and the next one. All right, the agenda for you is going to be pretty straightforward and clear. We'll be starting off with day 1, which is today, and 4 more days to go. So here we've got the Active Directory management covered end to end. So everything that you can do with AD Manager Plus, starting with user lifecycle management, which includes the identity and access management, where we provision user accounts. We go on and manage user accounts and their attributes. All right, not to forget the Office 365 and mailbox management that comes along. All right, that will be day 2 for you. Through the session, third day this week, we'll be talking about reporting in Active Directory. That's one helpful and as well as useful topic. We'll be taking up close to 10 plus different use cases and discussing as to how AD Manager Plus's reports are very, very helpful. All right. Later next week, we'll be talking about Active Directory delegation. So when I say delegation, the delegation is going to be through AD Manager Plus. We're going to be talking about a non-invasive way of delegating roles and permissions in Active Directory. And finally, for the last day of this 5-day workshop series, we'll be talking about something pretty interesting, which is automation. We'll see how to get all those tasks, important Active Directory tasks, user management, group management, all of that automated and all set for you to avail it. That'll be the last session, which is on automation. We'll also be talking about or getting a quick heads up on the iOS and the Android applications that we have for AD Manager Plus. In addition, I'll also be giving you a sneak peek into the pipeline to tell you what new features are scheduled for releases and what more is coming up and what to look forward in the product. All right, so through the 5-day workshop series, I'm going to be your partner. You can go on and ask me any questions during the course of the workshop, and I'd be more than happy to answer them then and there. Just in case if I miss out 1 or 2 questions, do not worry at all. It's a promise. I'll take them towards the end of the session. We can have a dedicated Q&A. And for those of you who want a copy of this recording or the workshop, you can very well towards the end of the session today, you can just drop me a message on chat or email me with your details. I'd be more than happy to share the video as well. All right. So ground rules all set. So the first session, today's session, is going to be on the most important aspect of Active Directory management, the fundamental, which is user identity and access management. So today we'll be taking a look at creating user creation templates, working out ways to simplify user onboarding, to be precise. All right, so the agenda goes like this. So today we'll be starting off by understanding as to how AD Manager Plus can give you a killer advantage over any other product out there. What are we talking about? So the biggest challenge is the creation or provisioning of accounts across platforms. So we are going to go ahead and figure out how to tackle that, how to have your users onboarded across platforms. Yes, that's the first thing that we'll be talking about from one single window. We'll go forward to talk about how to have users provisioned in bulk. When I say bulk, we are going to be seeing how to have users onboarded to different departments with different roles and all that using simple CSV file. We'll also go further to see how user creation templates can be the game changer, can definitely, simplify, and not just simplify, save a lot of time in terms of the onboarding, because most important attributes or AD attributes that usually take up a lot of time in filling out one user at a time, they're going to be pre-populated in the template. Things like group membership, you can never go wrong in such attributes. They're going to be right in place for you. All right. So going further, we'll also be talking about something very, very specific: custom attributes. Yes, AD Manager Plus lets you have your custom attributes in place. Templates can be configured again with custom attributes, and all of this without even having to extend your existing Active Directory schema. So that's going to be a product level feature that we'll be working out. And then we'll go forward to talk about certain challenges that come up with Active Directory user provisioning, such as standardizing the naming formats and having duplicates prevented right at the very start. So just a quick recap on what is the agenda. We'll be talking about everything related to user account provisioning. We'll talk about having accounts provisioned across different platforms in one go, having users created in bulk in Active Directory and in other platforms, having attributes specific to a object pre-specified through templates, and simplifying the whole onboarding process. And also we'll take a look at certain special cases where we'd get the standardized naming formats in place and also stop duplicates from curving in. So that is going to be pretty much the agenda for the day. All right. So to give you a quick picture as to why this has got to happen through the AD Manager Plus application and not ideally through the Active Directory users and computers console, here you go. So there are certain basic things that Microsoft really did not have incorporated in the AD users and computers console. So why did they miss out on that? Not really sure, but then they are falling short on certain basic things such as having users provisioned in bulk. Yes, indeed, PowerShell is a great way of getting things done, but the problem again comes at the part where you have to get professionally or programmatically trained for PowerShell, and without even having to say a PowerShell script for onboarding a single user with just the basic attributes looks this complex. What if I miss this specific um, syntax? The whole program can go unexecuted, or there could be a critical error when it's getting executed. So we don't want anything of that sort to happen. To simplify the whole thing, we are going to go ahead and have the user creation templates used, and there are multiple other things in which the native tools lack, and I'll be explaining it through the 5 days of the workshop. The ideal way of doing it, the usual way of doing it, is through the Active Directory users in Computers Console. You create an object, and there's a lot of other manual attribute that you have to be filling out. All right. Not just that, Again, when it comes to organizations, we are necessarily not going to stop with just Active Directory. We are going to proceed to other applications, have accounts created across platforms. To name a few, you'll want accounts in Office 365, no doubt. You'll want an account, probably applications in Google Apps. You definitely want an Exchange mailbox to be created. So, why would you want to go one application after the other to do the exact same thing? So that is the challenge that we'll be solving today. And for that, we'll be having to create a few basic requirements inside the product, to set up the product and have it work our way. All right. So without any delay, I'm going to quickly toggle to AD Manager Plus and start off with today's session. All right, so this is the AD Manager Plus instance for you. For those of you who have your local instance, feel free to go on and try out the features as I explained. Just in case you want to take a look at the product and you don't have an instance, you can always check out the demo platform that we've got, which is demo.admanagerplus.com. So you can always check out the features right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link for the demo on your chat. 3, 2, 1, and there you go. So that is the URL for the cloud instance that we have hosted. You can always go ahead, feel free to check out the features. Today, since we'll be pretty much dealing with the administrative side of things, you can log in as the administrator. Through the session, we'll also be talking about technician side of things, so you can also try technician at a later point in time. So today it's going to be administrators. Demo.admanagerplus.com is going to be the instance. So getting back to my instance and getting to the topic of the day, we are going to be talking about user provisioning or user onboarding. All right, so I've already told you what are the challenges that exist in the native tools. No provision to standardize the whole process. You have to do it one user at a time. So we're going to go ahead and get into the AD management module in AD Manager Plus, which is the first and most important tab. So here, before we get there, we've got a quick overview of what's the existing scenario in the organization. And that's the dashboard view for you. It gives you quick insights into the most important aspects of the company. It tells you the number of users. It has details regarding the computers. If you have inactive users, you can quickly act upon them. If you have few users who are disabled, you can choose to delete them or work on them. So most important data, most important statistics that you'd want to take a quick glimpse at, you have it in the dashboard view, and you can very well edit the dashboard view in the next release that's coming up, with an all new UI with a lot more customized functions. That's the dashboard for you. All right, so today we'll be talking about the AD management module. So under the AD management module, we'll be starting off by understanding as to how user creation through AD Manager Plus basically works. So I'm going to first start off by, walking you through what is available at this point in time. So we've got provisions to create one user at a time. You can very well do that. You have a provision to bulk create users. So the two most important things in terms of user onboarding, you've got it right there: single and bulk users creation. So what is going to be the prerequisite that I was talking about? So when it comes to that, it's going to be the user creation templates. All right, so from the name you could have already guessed it. User creation templates are going to be a list of templates with all those critical or attributes in Active Directory that can be very well predefined or templated, just so that it's available for you to pick and use. So that is the idea. So getting into the user creation templates module. So here we're able to see that there are a list of predefined user creation templates. So what you can probably do is you can go on and quickly create your new template based on your requirement. Before that, I'll walk you through some of the existing templates just for clarity. All right. So what do we have right here? We've got templates for different departments. That's pretty evident. I've got one for HR, one for IT, and one for marketing, sales, and so on. So does this have to stop with just department specific templates? Not really, not really. It necessarily need not be just departments. You can also have role specific user creation templates in place. So that's one benefit of the product. You can have your own templates as per your own requirements in place for you. All right, I'm going to quickly open up one of the templates that's already existing and show you what's in it. Let me open up the template for the marketing department. All right, so it says marketing department. It says provisions users for the marketing department across different platform. All right, that's what I want. And scrolling down a little bit further, we're able to see something called as the layout view. Okay, so from the first looks of it, I'm able to understand that the layout view has all those Active Directory attributes listed and sorted table wise. So here there are account specific Active Directory attributes, wonderful things like group membership, things like my password related attributes, all of that in place. From the contacts tab, I'm able to see that there are attributes pertaining to the contact of this specific user object. So here I've got the department details, the address, the telephone number, and all that. So what do we understand right here? So user creation templates are nothing more than a mirror image of the existing Active Directory schema. So the only difference right here is it's sorted out in such a way that it's easy to understand and straightforward. So that's the biggest advantage. Likewise, there's Exchange. From the Exchange tab, I'm able to see that there's a provision for creating a mail enabled user and a mailbox enabled user. So here I do not have my Exchange server configured. If you got it configured, you can go on quickly have all of these properties related to Exchange configured as well. From the mail enabled or mailbox enabled user, I'm able to see that there's a provision for having the Exchange server configured, the mail store configured, and a lot more pertaining to the Exchange. Right, it doesn't stop right there. Provision to set the remote mailbox, have your terminal set right, and like we were talking about, the provision to configure your very own custom attribute, or in fact, as a matter of fact, to add a custom script to your existing template. So if you have certain requirements that have to be triggered after user creation, you can very well have custom scripts run during the process. All right, and yes, of course, Office 365 is also available. You can have that directory sync enabled or do it without a directory sync, totally up to you. You can have licenses assigned for a specific template, and users getting through this template or users getting created through this template will have licenses mapped from the template or from this description that you've got right here. So just a quick overview, we're talking about user creation templates. We're just taking a look at a sample template that I have, which is for the marketing department. There are certain things that I'll want you to observe right here. So when I get into the template, there are certain attributes that I've pre-filled a while back. The description very clearly says marketing department. When I get into the container or the organization unit, I'm again able to see that this specific template has the organization unit mapped to the marketing department in my specific required OU. So that's a great advantage. So instead of me manually figuring out my way into Active Directory, going attribute after the other, filling that out, I have one template with all those required attributes. So here from the account tab, I'm able to see that even the group membership for this specific department is already pre-filled because I've done that way. I've set it that way. All right. So any attribute from this template can be edited, can be set as per your requirement. So what problem are we ideally solving right here? On a given day, you have your HR writing a mail to you asking you to onboard 10 different users belonging to 5 different departments with different roles and positions. How complicated could that get? It can't get any more complex because you'll have to go one user after the other, get all those attributes set. Yes, make sure that the right attributes are set, cross-check with the corresponding departments, and then go ahead and get your users provisioned. So that's going to be a really tedious process. All the toggling, all the manual laborious toggles that you have to do, you don't necessarily need to do all of that. So the best part about the application is, I've got a question regarding Skype for Business. Yes, of course, we've got integrations with Skype for Business as well. So here it's a 360-degree provisioning that we're talking about. You can have your G Suite set, you can have your Office 365 set, you can very well have your Skype for Business also configured. So that's the whole idea. We'd not want you to toggle, but then just access the whole thing from a simple single pane. That's the idea. So we've been discussing about user creation templates. I'm going to quickly get back to the list of templates just so that I can show you what more is available in the templates, and start off by configuring one template today for you. All right. So here we've got a list of templates for different departments. The first one is the one that interests me. It says 360-degree user provisionings template, and the description says you can have users created across platforms. So this is the one that's going to be very useful in organizations. All the toggling that we've been talking about, you can get rid of the toggling by having this template put in place. All right. So just in case you want to go ahead and have your very own template created, you can always click on the create new template right here. The create new template again opens up the basic editor for user creation template. So this time the layout view is good for customization. I can go on, edit it. None of the attributes are pre-filled. I can very quickly create a new template. Let me say IT department. All right, I'd want to create a template for onboarding users to my IT department. So the logic is pretty simple. When I'm creating the users through the product, all I have to do is select the right template, and like magic, all attributes are populated. They're sunk with the template that's selected. So here I'm going to say user account provisioning, Active Directory, and Office 365. So those two apps for the IT department, for IT. All right. So here, any user who's getting onboarded to the IT department, can have attributes that are common. All right. So to name a few, the container is one such attribute. Let's say, so here, quickly getting into the organization unit, any user will have to be a part of this specific OU when he or she belongs to the IT department. So that's pre-selected. Description, I can very well say IT tech. Okay. Likewise, what else do I have that I can preset? Office, if I have a value, I can preset. Getting into the accounts tab, I can have the password customized as per my requirement. So I can have a random password to be generated and emailed to that corresponding user who's being onboarded, or I can very well go on and set a new password. Since I am the administrator and I'm aware of the password complexity that has to be met, I'm having one such complex password keyed into the template. All right. When it comes to the properties related to password, I can choose to alter any of this. I can say the user must log on next time and change the password. I can do that. I can disable that, or I can also say the user can never change the password. So attributes, every attribute at every level, the granularity is what we're talking about. All of that can be customized from the template. Getting into the contacts tab, I'm going to have a few attributes tweaked. So since it's a template for the IT department, obvious choice. You can go on and choose the company if you have a value right there. From the manager attribute, I can pre-specify who's got to be the manager. Quickly looking up for the IT head. Do I have a IT head? Let me quickly check. Yes, I have an IT head. So this is going to be the manager to who all people in the IT department created through this specific template are going to report to. So that attribute is also selected. I'm saying okay. Exchange, do I need exchange at this point in time? Completely up to me. I can have the user created with a mailbox or without a mailbox. I can do that. When I get into the mailbox enabled user, I have a provision to select the mail server. At this point in time, I don't have one configured. In your environment, you can very well choose from the drop down and select the mail store, mail server, have the storage limit set. That's the whole deal. So going a step further, you can also perform exchange related management from here, from this console. So set storage related attributes, set the delivery options that are available, have your policies configured. Yes, so that's as pertaining to the exchange mailbox. You can have your remote mailbox also configured as per your requirement. All right, and there's terminal service, there's Skype for Business, custom apps, and Office 365. So here I can very well choose the format in which the mailbox has to be created. Just in case if I want a litigation hold to be in place, I can also do that with an in-place archive as well. All of this is going to save me tremendous amount of workload, and at the same time is also going to streamline the whole process. So I can choose what's going to happen at the very beginning. I can go on and have licenses set, group memberships set, and all that. Yes. So here, if things were configured right, the Office 365 apps and licenses would have shown up. Likewise, I could go on and select them, set the group membership. So this is the first most important step that you'll have to do, which is setting up the template as per your requirement. If it's the IT department that you're working for this specific use case, you can go on and configure all of that pertaining to the IT department. So if you were to have one configured for a specific role, is that again possible? Yes, again that's possible. You can have a specific role. Say you have a top level executive role in your organization, and there are certain group membership related things that you'll want to configure prior. So certain administrative groups of which this specific user has to be a part of, you can very well add the group membership, look up for those specific critical groups. All right, let me say domain admins. All right, so domain users is already selected. You can say domain admins and say okay. So any user who is going to be a critical user being created with this specific template will be a part of the domain admins group. So what is the beauty of this specific template? It's completely customizable, and you can very well make innumerable number of templates. No restriction on the number of templates that you can make. So for all those critical scenarios, you can always create these templates and let them do the hard work for you. Now you must be wondering, why would I want to create so many templates manually? Is there a provision to probably pick insights from an existing object? Yes, that's going to be possible. I can very well copy an existing user attribute. So if you have your Active Directory already set, all right, there must be always certain users from who you'd want to take reference. For a user object pertaining to the IT department, you can quickly look up for a user in the IT department, select the attributes pertaining to that user very easily. So let's say Adam is a part of the human resource department. So if I were to create a template for the HR department, instead of me going ahead and having one attribute after the other configured manually, I can always choose to copy it from an existing user. And how do I do that? Pretty simple. Once I get in the user creation templates and layout view, I've got a provision to straight or get me a kickstart or a jump start by copying users attributes. So when I say copy users attribute, I've got Adam right here, and I can customize the list of attributes that have to be copied from Adam. So I do not want all of the attributes to be copied, only those generic attributes pertaining to the whole department to be copied. So here under general, I can not ideally copy unique attributes like employee ID. I can very well copy the description. I can copy the container. I can definitely copy the office as well if that applies. From the accounts tab, I'd be able to have the group membership copied and a few more attributes copied. From the contacts tab, again, the title, department, company, completely up to you. You can have attributes granularly copied. All right. So here we're able to see what are the attributes that will be copied and what are the values that will be made as a part of this template. All right. When I say apply, so here all these attributes have to be applied to this specific template. Okay. Perfect. So here the simplest and the most easy way to start off with a user creation template is to just go ahead and have the attributes copied from an existing user. What do we have right here? Do we have the attribute copied? It's got to say human resource now. Yes, it does say human resource now. So Adam's attribute was copied straight into the template at the click of a button. So all I had to do was just say copy user attributes, and all those attributes pertaining to that user have been imported into my existing template. So that would ideally save a lot of time again for me. We are trying to simplify a process that's already simple. So user creation templates is pretty self-explanatory. To make it all the more simple, and just in case you want to refer something, you can always copy the existing user's attribute right here. All right, so what more can we do with user creation templates? I've told you enough number of times that the user creation templates are the fundamental requirement or the building block for this whole provisioning process. So we saw how the layout view is very intuitive. It helps you predefine certain attributes. We saw how copying a user attribute can save trouble all the more. There's something that's even more cooler, which is creation rules. All right, so we're talking about user creation now, and let's quickly see what creation rules has to offer. So when I get into the creation rules, I'm able to see that there's a simple module that's fresh. I'll have to go on and start creating a new rule. All right, it says create a new rule. I'm creating a new rule. Okay, what do we have right here? We've got two parts to the application or the creation rules right here. The first part is the condition. The next part is the part where you get to assign values when the conditions are met. I'm guessing you should have already understood the logic behind it. So every single time when an object is created and that object meets a specific condition, you can have values automatically assigned to other attributes as per your requirement. What am I talking about right here? Let's say an attribute or a user object that's getting created is a part of a specific department. All right, I'm saying the sales department. So every single time when a user object gets created for the sales department and the attribute says sales, I can have other attributes automatically filled out. What do I mean? So I can quickly have the description set. All right, I can say sales executive and save and add that. I can have another attribute, let's say an attribute pertaining to the group membership predefined. So since it's going to be the sales department, I'm going to quickly add groups pertaining to the sales department. All right, looking up for sales, I have the sales officers group in place. I'm saying okay, and I'm saying okay again. I'm adding that condition as well. Can I add something more? Yes, I can assign Office 365 licenses as well at the very start. So the sales department, if the department is sales and that condition is met, I can have 80 attributes configured. I can have even Office 365 licenses assigned as per the condition. Yes, again, all these attributes that are listed right here, including the organization unit, that can be pre-specified as well. So the best part is the rules don't end right there. You can have a series of rules configured. What am I talking about? So here I'm going to go ahead and say sales department and say okay and add that as well. So this is the first rule that I've created, and this rule is for the sales department. All right, the condition is sales department, and I'm saving this specific rule, and I can go on and add a second rule on top of it. The first rule is for the sales department. I can very well create another rule, say for the marketing department. Okay. So now here comes the question. How different are the creation rules from that of the actual template that we were talking about? The templates pretty much do the same thing. How different is this? Okay, here comes the answer. So when you're doing a bulk user provisioning process and you want to have certain organization level attributes set common, and you have a template for the whole organization, something like a 360-degree provisioning that we saw in the beginning. If that's the case, you'd not ideally want to go one template after the other and select multiple templates, but instead have a unique identifier for every user object in the CSV that you'll be importing during a bulk user creation, and make sure that the corresponding conditions are met and the values are automatically assigned. So when you're doing a bulk user provisioning process for users to be onboarded to different departments at the same instance, so this is what you do. Have conditions in place, have as many number of conditions as you want. They necessarily need not be department specific conditions. They could be any one of the ones that are listed right here. All right. So you want certain users belonging to a specific country or a specific organization unit to have a set of values. You want users belonging to a specific group to have certain Active Directory values. That can be done. So you say that the users pertaining to the finance department have to have values like this. All right. If that is the condition that you want to meet. So I have the finance executives and the accountants as the group. So this is the condition. If the user being created is a part of any of these groups, then go ahead and assign any of the values that are listed right here pertainingly. So that is the whole beauty. That is the beauty of this specific user creation templates. Getting back to the templates to give you a quick overview on what we've discussed so far. We've understood that user creation templates are definitely the most streamlined way to get your user onboarding done, because values are pre-specified. Values can be configured as per your requirement. We also saw that user creation templates can be for different departments, different roles, and different conditions. So if you want to do a 360 onboarding, that again is going to be possible. Getting into the template, the layout is pretty straightforward and simple, like this one right here. Accounts can be created across platforms. So here you see logos of the G Suite application in Office 365. So all those attributes that have the logo right next to them are the ones that are going to be the common attributes. So across platforms, you're going to have a single identity, saving you a lot of time. Yes. What if you do not want such a complex layout? What if you want things to be a lot more simple? Can this layout be customized? Yes, of course. When you say enable drag and drop from the layout view, you can very well go on and start editing all these attributes, or start configuring or playing around with the layout. Yes. So you want a specific attribute to be popped in, you can always drag and drop it. So when you drag and drop it, you are supposed to set a few attributes. You can go on, look into them and customize them. If you do not want a specific attribute, let's say I do not want a web page, or I don't have such an attribute, I can always delete it and it goes back to the dashboard, just so that I can reuse it at a later point in time. If you do not want an entire tab, you don't need configurations for the remote mailbox. You can very well go on and delete the whole module. Yes. So likewise, you do not want, or you do not have an Skype for Business account. You do not want that to be in the template. You can go on and delete it. Not in the requirement of custom attributes. You can always delete them. So Office 365, if you need that, you can keep it. If you don't, you can always remove it. So the whole point is to give you the power to customize and configure it in just the way you want. So you know my email address. You can always write to me just in case you want any help with user creation templates or configuring them as per your requirement. We'd be more than happy to help you out. So there are innumerable permutations and combinations when it comes with the layout view. You can go on and start customizing. So now what does this bring us to? This brings us to the next step in the process, which is customizing these attributes or going attribute level. All right. So we've been talking about getting the first step done, which is provisioning the users, which is pretty much the most important topic for the day. And when I get back into the templates, there are certain things that can be customized. So when it comes to the standardizing topic, when it comes to having the naming formats standardized, that again is going to be a benefit from the user creation templates. So here, what do we have? We've got an attribute that says logon name. So we very well know that the logon name is more like a fingerprint attribute or a unique attribute specific to an account. It necessarily need not or cannot be, duplicated, or it needs to have a standard format. So I can go on and say edit any attribute right here. I can go on and say edit. All right, when I say edit, I'm very well able to see that there is a provision to choose from a list of existing naming formats. I can also choose to create my own naming format. You can go on and try that. So this is going to save me a lot of trouble. I've got 10 help desk technicians in my organization. All of them are into the work of onboarding new users for different departments. So there comes the problem of standardizing the naming formats. You can't have that done manually. Instead, if it's happening through the templates, you can pre-specify, say, the first name plus last name, and go ahead and use the standardized naming format. So tackling the problem at the very beginning. All right, again, there's always going to be this problem of the duplication. There's always going to be another John Smith coming in. If you not want that, you can always check the duplicate option that's available and do a sweep, a forest level or a domain level sweep to stop the duplicate, or instead rework on the new employee who's joining. In fact, you can have a different naming format just so that the two users don't have a conflict. Yep, it can be the first initial plus the last name. It can be the last name plus the first name, any of the other naming formats that are available, or your custom naming format. Or you can go a step further and append a specific attribute or a number or a value right here. You can alter what's got to go in right here. It can be a number or a character or any other requirement, or you can totally stop a user with the same name from being created. You can completely stop the duplicate at the very start. So all of this is available in the user creation templates. Again, I'm walking you through as to what we are discussing. We saw the overall layout view. We saw how the attributes are under different tabs and how they are customizable. Now we're getting into the details of every attribute. We just saw how logon name can be made unique and standardized, and also to stop duplicates at the very start, which is checking for duplicates through the template. So this is going to act like a filter. Every time when you create users through the templates are going to check if there are any users with the same name, and if there are any users, you're going to get prompted, and you're also going to get an opportunity to work on it right away or alter it right away at the very beginning. Yes. Okay, so what more can the templates do? Extension of the schema. So if you want certain custom attributes, you can very well have them added right here. If you want a certain attribute to be mandatory, a non-mandatory attribute to be made mandatory, you don't need to edit your schema. Instead, you can edit the template right here. Say employee ID in organizations is many a times a very important attribute. Based on the employee ID, there are a lot of other functions that could be triggered. In such instances, you can't have an account created without an employee ID. But if you were to do it the native way, you will have to edit the schema. So here, instead of that, you can get into the template, say edit, and make it a mandatory field. That simple. When you make it mandatory field, you will observe something. All right, how does it look now? It just says employee ID, nothing special about it. When I say edit, and when I make it mandatory and say OK, there's a red star that's next to the employee ID field. And what does that indicate? It indicates that the attribute has been made mandatory. So when the technician is creating a user through this template, the employee ID field ideally can't be left empty. Without filling that, the process cannot happen. So that way we are going ahead and customizing the entire Active Directory schema without having to actually tweak it, or without actually messing with the schema. We're making all those restrictions and filters through this specific template that we've got access to. All right. When I get to the accounts tab, there are a few interesting attributes that I can work out with. I can have my passwords configured as per my requirement. Now, when it comes to cases where I have technicians and I don't want them to meddle with certain attributes in the template, I'm assigning this template to a technician for usage and I don't want them to mess with certain attributes, I can always get to an attribute and make it silently active. So that way the value is going to be always the same, just the way that I set it, and then nobody is still going to get an option to edit it but still just view it or make it silently active. All right, when I say edit, I can always choose read only such that this attribute becomes standard or it can't be edited. You see an yellow star that's next to the attribute right now. Or when I say silently active, it becomes dormant, it becomes silently active and nothing at all can be done and it's completely gone out of the display in that specific template. All right, so there's a lot more to the templates in terms of customization. You can set log on log off fast through the template. You can customize that. You can have restrictions set to specific computers through the templates as such. Okay, the templates are an extensive way to get your Active Directory managed. Every attribute you think of it, things like permissions, all of that are available. So I want you to go on and try out the templates and let me know if you have any questions. We'd be more than happy to help you out. All right, so the templates are the first and the most important step for user provisioning. So now that's done, we pretty much covered all important aspects of templates. We're going to get to the actual work of user creation. All right, so I'm going to start off by a single user creation. So the first fundamental is done. Single user creation is what I'm going to do. So when I say it's single user creation, it opens up a simple dashboard, pretty much simple and straightforward. This time I'm going to go ahead and choose a specific template. Here I'm going to say 360-degree user onboarding. A single user has to be onboarded across different platforms. We already know what this template does. The user creation template that helps me have accounts provisioned across platforms. The user account that I want to create this time is going to be Bruce. All right, Banner. Bruce Banner is the account that I want to provision. What do we have right here? The moment I just key in the first name and last name, I'm able to see that there are other attributes that are automatically popping in or getting automatically filled out. All right, so that's the dynamic filler right there in progress. From the accounts tab, I'm able to see that all the basic attributes are filled out based on the 360-degree user provisioning. Getting one tab after the other, all of that is in place just like the way I wanted. So we've seen enough about the templates. We are in the process of creating a user across platforms. I'm going to go ahead and quickly create the user. So in the background, the product is doing LDAP queries to Active Directory and having the accounts set up. Simultaneously, it's also communicating with the Google Apps and the Office 365 accounts that are also to be created through this integration. And yes, there you go. The account has been successfully created across different platforms. We are able to see that account has also been created in Google Apps and Office 365, and synchronization will also take place. So it can't get any simpler. One click, all I had to do was just specify the first name, last name, and we were good to go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick bulk user creation for you, or show you how that ideally works. So single user creation done. User creation templates were the fundamental. Getting into the bulk user creation, we're talking about the case where I'd want to have users provisioned across different platforms. So that was my provision, or that was my use case. I'd want users across different departments. I have a simple template right here, a simple CSV file that's got a header right here which says the given name, the last name, and the template name. So here, just a quick typo, got that corrected. So the given name is the first name of the user. The last name, otherwise also represented as SN, is right here, and the template name is from the list of templates that I showed you in the very start. So if you have a requirement of onboarding multiple users to different departments, you can very well go on and start creating this specific list. Just the first name, the last name, and the necessary template name. And when you import these templates, all the attributes from this template are going to be mapped to all those users who are listed right here. It can't get any simpler. So if you have any queries as to figuring out how to get the headers right, I'm going to show you how. All right, let me quickly switch back to the product. So here, what we are trying to do is create users in bulk. For bulk user creation, the CSV file that I showed you is a prerequisite. If you have doubts with the CSV file creation, you can always refer this document right here. It's got all the headers and the corresponding attributes listed. It's an exhaustive list of all the LDAP headers and the attributes. All right, the CSV headers. You want a sample CSV file, you can click this and download the sample CSV file. Okay, so now I already have a CSV file, so I'm going to quickly import that CSV file. I'm going to say user provisioning right here, say okay, again say okay. So a validation is going to happen in the background to check if the data is right, to check if there's anything missed out in the specific CSV file. All right, so we had close to what, 30 users, all of them getting onboarded at the same instance. So the users are getting imported as per the understanding that you should have got. Users are required to be onboarded across different departments. We saw a requirement for the IT department, sales department, and yes, the marketing department as well. So the validation is happening, it's in progress. Again, what's the best benefit of the product? It does not stop you with just helping you to have user accounts provision, just in case if a value is misplaced, just in case if something's wrong, all right, happening in the background. It always gives you clear error notifications telling you what exactly went wrong, just so that you can get back to it and work on that specific aspect. So here from the CSV file that we just had, we just saw this specific CSV file here. All the attributes are imported for all those users. What do we see right here? The CSV file looked very simple. It just had 3 attributes, but then this, after having imported, it looks a lot more interesting and a lot more detailed. How is that? So let me slowly scroll that for you. So here, Andrew, it says the description as information technology. Okay. When I scroll further, the organization unit is also set rightly. The membership is also set rightly pertaining to the IT department. So details pertaining to the department, every attribute including the manager and all that is set. How was all this possible in the first place? So just because I had the templates mapped rightly, I'm able to see that attributes pertaining to that specific department have populated automatically. So here, John, all right, is a part of the sales team. So the sales related attributes are populated right here. Okay, I also had a few marketing people to be enrolled. Yes, Steve is right here. And marketing related attributes like the OU, like the container, like the group membership, all of that is mapped already for me. Description, all of that. So it was a simple CSV file that just had the basic attributes, the first name, the last name, and the template name. But then right after the import, thanks to the templates that have been called for, all these attributes are pre-filled. So now I'm going to go ahead and quickly onboard all these 23 users in one go. So there's no cap on the number of users who you can onboard in one go. All you have to do is just get the simple CSV file configured right. All right. When I say create, I'm going to have users provision. I'm also giving you a heads up. I've configured it in such a way that there is a quick error notification that comes up, just so that we can understand how is the product going to help you when something goes wrong. So we are going to have the users provisioned, and also going to see if the product can help me if a bit or some aspect of the configuration or some something goes wrong. It gives me a prompt. We're going to see that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say create users. All right, so I'm able to see that users are getting created across departments, across organization units with different attributes, all the 23 of them. The user has been successfully created. That's great. So we've got 23 objects, and all of that is happening simultaneously. Not just one department, but then multiple departments. So meanwhile, when the users are getting provisioned across platforms, I'm going to quickly check right here this specific task. We've also got that done. We saw how group membership can be pre-incorporated in the templates. We saw how to standardize naming formats. We've seen custom attributes. We've seen how to detect and manage duplicates at the very start through the templates, and we've also made certain attributes mandatory. The one example that I took was the employee ID. So we've pretty much covered the entire agenda for the day. Meanwhile, the process of user creation is happening in the background. The objects are getting provisioned. I've got a few more slides, some extra information for you. The dashboard that I was talking about, we've got the user creation templates right here. Through the session, I'll also be discussing about later in through the course. I'll also be walking you through how business workflow can be helpful. Business workflow is ideally where you have your technicians have access to these templates and have users provisioned across platforms. So it necessarily need not be the administrator doing the process. The technicians can also have access to the user creation module and create users. So that's one thing that we'll be talking about in the days to come. And in the process of onboarding, we've also got integrations set up with the ServiceNow and Service Desk Plus that's available ready for use. You can have users provisioned and also perform other modification tasks and user management tasks to those users. And yes, when it comes to onboarding, you can automate the onboarding to fetch data for all these users right from your existing HR database. It could be your MS SQL or your Oracle database. So that is also going to be possible. This is more like additional information I'm giving you regarding the user provisioning. When it comes to the database integration, yes, the flow diagram right here helps you understand as to how the templates come into the picture and automatically data gets imported from the database for the user to be created and onboarded in Active Directory. You can also set automations that automatically fetch the CSV data and create users across platforms. That can be also set. We've got a session on automation that will be the last day. I'll also be explaining about the automation policies that are going to help you. So that's more like overview of what's going to come in the next few sessions related to user provisioning that we've been talking about today. All right, getting back to the agenda. So there you go. The process is complete. We've got users provisioned across platforms with attributes pertaining to those specific departments in one simple straight go. Yes, different departments, different platforms, and with all the corresponding attributes in one go. Yes, so a quick recap on what we were discussing so far. We were talking about user provisioning in Active Directory and associated platforms like Office 365, Google Apps, Skype for Business, and having Exchange Mailbox as well configured. We saw how user creation templates are the most important requirement to simplify this process. User creation templates are more like a basic framework where you can have attributes pre-configured for a specific department or for a specific description that you have. Yes, and the best part is the user creation templates are completely customizable. You can have all the values preset every attribute. You can have accounts created across different departments. To simplify the process of user creation templates, you can also copy from an existing user just so that you can have values predefined, a head start in the values. Say copy, you're going to get the values automatically populated. All right. And the user creation templates are completely customizable. When I say enable drag and drop, I can alter the whole view as per my requirement, do drag and drop, alter the values at a granular level, move certain attributes or remove certain attributes and add more attributes. Yes, when it comes to the standardizing part, we saw how the naming formats can be made standard. We also saw how to prevent duplicates for the logon names with a simple click. All I have to do is say check duplicates, say okay, and I'm done. All right, I can select the level. It could be the forest level or a domain level, and say and stop preventing duplicates. We also saw how to make certain attributes silently active, the ones that I not want other technicians to customize. Things like the group membership, if I not want that to be customized, I can make that silently active. If I not want that to be even edited, I can make that read only, just so that it's in place just like the way I want it. All right, so that was about user creation templates. We also saw how the user creation templates can be put to use, which is user creation in single and in bulk. So single user creation, straightforward, just the basic attributes, selecting the right template. Bulk user provisioning, you'll need a CSV file. You have a requirement from your HR to onboard probably 30 users, in different departments. You can have all the names, just the first name, the last name, and the corresponding template name in place, and make a CSV file out of it and import the CSV file through the bulk user provisioning module that we've got right here. Simple. And it also helps you validate the data just in case if something goes wrong. And you can always take reference from the existing CSV examples that we have, import the data, say next, check for the attributes, and when you say import, you're going to have all those 30 users belonging to different departments with all those corresponding attributes populated in Active Directory with accounts created across different platforms like Office 365, Skype, even the Exchange mailbox created in one simple go. So that is the first day of the 5-day workshop series. We've been talking about user identity and access management, the part where we also saw group memberships can be set right. Every AD attribute can be pre-specified using the smart templates in AD Manager Plus. So that's the first day in the 5-day workshop series. Next day, which is tomorrow, we'll be talking about managing these user accounts that we provisioned. Things like having their Active Directory attributes modified. How do we simplify a department change? How do we automate group modifications? How do we have licenses altered? All of that is going to be coming up in tomorrow's session. Just in case you want a quick overview of what's coming up, just in case you want to just catch up with what's coming up, we'll be talking about this right here. I'm going to share with you the workshop agenda, the detailed agenda right here for you on chat. Now there you go. So you can always look up to check what's coming up. So on January 24th, which is tomorrow, we'll be talking about centralized Active Directory user management. We'll be taking up certain interesting use cases. All right, we'll also be talking about the next phase of user lifecycle, which is modification and deprovisioning, and a lot more. So please tune in tomorrow as well. Until tomorrow, this is Jay signing off. I'm available at the chat to take your questions. I can do live demonstrations, so just in case you want anything to be repeated. You can also drop me a message right now on chat with your questions, or if you want to write to me, for any doubts and clarifications, you can always do it at jay@manageengine.com. That's my email address. I'd be able to share the webinar video and the slide deck as well with you. All you got to do is just write to me at this specific email address. All right. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. It was my pleasure bringing to you the session today. Thank you so much.